It felt inevitable, not just possible, not just exciting, but inevitable. Every time Matt Williams stepped into the batter's box that summer, there was a growing sense that something historic was unfolding, not loudly at first, not with national headlines or constant reminders, but quietly, steadily, building in the background of a season that would soon be remembered for something else entirely. Because in 1994, baseball wasn't supposed to be about records. It was supposed to be about recovery. The game was still living in the long shadow of declining attendance and fading excitement. The magic that once defined Major League Baseball had started to slip, and fans could feel it. Something was missing. And then, almost unexpectedly, came a spark. Williams wasn't the face of the league. He wasn't the biggest name or the most marketed star, but he had something that couldn't be ignored. Power. Raw, consistent, game-changing power. Playing for the San Francisco Giants, he wasn't just hitting home runs, he was launching them. Balls didn't just clear the fence, they disappeared. And as the weeks passed, something started to click. The pace, the rhythm, the numbers. They were lining up with something baseball hadn't seriously seen in decades. 60. A number that lived in a different world. A number that carried the weight of Babe Ruth's legend and the near-mythical status of Roger Maris. And suddenly, Matt Williams was chasing it. By mid-season, it wasn't just a hot streak anymore. It wasn't just a good year. It was a trajectory. He reached 30 home runs faster than almost anyone in the game. Pitchers adjusted. Teams planned around him. And it didn't matter. He kept hitting. There was a rhythm to it. A consistency that made the impossible start to feel realistic. Not guaranteed, but real. By the time the season moved into August, the pace had become undeniable. Williams had 43 home runs in just 112 games. At that rate, the math wasn't just hopeful, it was convincing. Over a full 162-game season, he wasn't just on track to approach 60, he was on pace to surpass it. And that's when everything changed. Not on the field, not in the batter's box, but far away from the game itself, behind closed doors, in negotiations that had nothing to do with swings, pitches, or records. Because while fans were watching history slowly unfold, something else was building. Tension between players and owners. Disagreements that had been simmering beneath the surface for years, now reaching a breaking point. And as Williams kept swinging, the game itself was starting to fracture. No one wanted to believe it. Not the fans, not the players, not even the league. Because you don't stop a season like this. Not when history is within reach. Not when the game finally has something that feels alive again. But baseball wasn't just a game in 1994. It was a business, and that business was heading toward collapse. August 12th, 1994. No dramatic final at-bat. No defining moment on the field. Just silence. The strike began. And just like that, everything stopped. Games disappeared overnight. Stadiums went quiet. The rhythm of the season, so constant, so reliable, was suddenly gone. For most players, it meant uncertainty. For fans, frustration. But for Matt Williams, it meant something else. It meant unfinished history. Because when the season ended abruptly, his number didn't change. 43 home runs, frozen in time. Not because he slowed down, not because pitchers figured him out, not because the moment passed, but because the game itself stopped. And what makes it linger? What makes it feel different from every other what if in sports is how real it was. This wasn't projection. This wasn't speculation built on a small sample size. This was sustained, proven, over more than 100 games. The pace was there. The power was there. The moment was there. And then it was gone. The 1994 Major League Baseball strike didn't just cancel games. It erased possibility, because records in baseball aren't just about talent. They're about timing, opportunity, staying on the field long enough for greatness to fully take shape. And Williams lost that chance, completely. When the game finally returned in 1995, everything felt different. The rhythm was gone, the context had changed, and the moment, the one that had been building so perfectly, never came back. Williams was still a great player, still powerful, still capable. But the magic of 1994? That exact alignment of performance, timing, and momentum, it never returned. And eventually, baseball found new heroes, new chases, new records. Years later, the home run race would come back in a way no one could have predicted. Bigger, louder, more controversial. And in that explosion of offense, The quiet brilliance of 1994 faded into the background, but it shouldn't have. Because before all of that, before the headlines and the records that followed, there was a season that felt pure, a player chasing something legendary, and a game that couldn't hold itself together long enough to let it happen. Which leaves one question that never really goes away. What if? What if the strike never happened? What if the season played out? Would Matt Williams have reached 60? Would he have rewritten history? We'll never know, because some records aren't broken. Some stories aren't finished. They're taken. And in 1994, one of baseball's most incredible pursuits didn't end. It was erased.